Hey guys, it's Jake from Metalwani and I am here with Joakim Broden from SABATON. Joakim, how you going, man?
Very good, thank you. A little bit cold at the moment since we are in the middle of a Scandinavian winter from hell, if I may add that.
So we are here to talk about the upcoming Australian tour. It's taken 5 years, but SABATON is finally making their return to Australia in 2018. You're coming as part of Download Festival Melbourne. How pumped is the band to finally be making it back to Australia?
Actually, we have been looking forward to coming back since 2013. I honestly, I really loved it there. Talking about not only the shows, but being there, the people, the atmosphere. Well, the climate in the middle of February when we were there last time was certainly didn't hurt. So, no, I'm just really looking forward to it. I could never have dreamt that it would have taken us 5 years to get back. I thought we'd be, coming back for the next album cycle, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
The timing and everything, so. But finally, we're back.
Yeah, that's it. No, I mean, I know that there have been many fans of SABATON in Australia that have been requesting you guys to come back for years, and the last time that you and I spoke, which was the day before the album launch in 2016 at Summer Breeze, you sort of said that you guys were still trying to figure out a way to get back down here, but you just hadn't found the right way to come back yet. So it must have been great to have had such an awesome opportunity to present itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with all the shows you do that are pretty far away. There is a certain amount of timing involved. Obviously, if we want to go to Germany, that's not much of a process for us Swedes. To get us and our crew to Australia and make the dates fit with everything we got happening around it is going to be a bit of a bigger logistical issue.
Yeah, definitely. So you're coming down as part of Download Melbourne, but you're also doing a couple of side shows as well with Amon Amarth. Do you think that it's a good feeling to be part of, I guess, a Swedish invasion tour of Australia as well, being packaged up with Amon Amarth?
Yeah, I mean, you should be very afraid because we're coming to stay. This is only the reconnaissance troops because we're tired of freezing in Sweden. So we thought we'd just, take over Scandinavia and start the new Swedish Empire from there.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's good that you're coming with Amon Amarth as well, because while a lot of, I guess, European fans would have obviously seen you guys as well as Amon Amarth, there might be a fair few Australian fans that are, I guess, Amon Amarth fans, but may not necessarily have heard it or have seen you guys. So I guess it's going to give you guys a chance to win that crowd over there. So you've got to be pretty pumped about that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons, obviously, that we're doing it. And also, Amon Amarth, good friends, and I honestly, that's one of the few heavier bands that I enjoy listening to myself. I do like heavy metal, of course, but they are probably on the harder spectrum of what I actually listen to myself, and I think they're just one of the best in that genre by far. Yeah,
cool. So I guess the next sort of question is, whereabouts in the scale do you see the Australian fans? I know you spoke a little bit earlier about how wonderful the people are and that, but given that, I mean, my exposure to you guys has been Germany, and we all know how crazy the Germans are for SABATON, and even Sweden, you guys have your own festival in Sweden. But if you had to put Australian fans on a scale, whereabouts would you put them?
Well, that's an impossible comparison to do because every country has its own, what do you call it, cultures and, social rules. I mean, a good crowd, trust me, I love Sweden, but a good Swedish crowd is going to be pretty shitty by, the rest of the world standards. Because Swedes are, or Scandinavians, I would say, are pretty damn reserved people until they get, 15 beers. So, well, as a totally sober person from Argentina is going to behave like, proper berserker with bloodlust happening at the moment, so a little blood rage, I guess. So it's really different. What I do really remember and really like, as well as I said though earlier, is how friendly people were. I mean, we were there for a couple of days. We stayed a bit longer after the night we shows last time. And I just remember we traveled, along the Great Ocean Road, took a road trip to no, not all the way to Perth. We went to Adelaide.
That'd
Yeah,
be a
sorry.
pretty long road trip.
So just how friendly and helpful people all, how happy people seemed actually. People are, smiling. Hello.
Yeah, and I think
which is a very opposite of Scandinavia sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those big things which it had been a really long time for the band to get here after that boom that you guys did have, where you sort of burst out of the blocks, and I guess having you come down here was sort of reaffirming for those fans, so that's probably why they were so happy.
Oh, well, I guess wish we could have come sooner, to be honest.
Yeah.
5 years, that's a bit shameful wait.
Yeah, so I've seen you guys perform at Varken Open Air and Summer Breeze, so I've got a pretty good idea of the big scale of your open air performances, but Download Melbourne will be your first open air festival performance in Australia. Can we expect some of the big theatrics to come down? So is there any possibility of the tank drum rise or the flamethrowers?
We're looking at everything from, obviously, if we do a show, we want to make it as big as possible. And we are looking into the possibility of bringing everything from, we have video, we have tanks, we have pyro. What we can bring, though, that is going to be hugely up to Download. How long time will we get to prepare and set things up? Because at the moment we already decided that budget is not going to be an issue. That we will bring to the stage in Australia and on Download everything we can possibly put on that stage, even if it means us losing money by taking the tank or the pyro or the video wall there.
Yeah.
So which is actually a nice thing about becoming a little bit bigger as a band, is that you can make those decisions. That certainly wasn't possible for us 5 years ago. Well, we simply don't know yet how much we're allowed to bring. Obviously, the festival is still setting up the running order, and it depends on what other bands are bringing. If the headliners don't want any other effects or pyro, sometimes you are screwed. Nothing you can do, and nothing then against Download either. Sometimes the headliner on a festival, I don't know who's headlining that day we're playing even, but there are certain times when it's in the contract that no other bands bring production for logistical reasons, for ego reasons, for whatever. But whatever we can bring, we will for sure have on the stage there. Yeah, but I can't make any promises as of now.
I guess fingers crossed that you can bring, or whatever you can bring down, because I'm speaking from personal experience here, but I find that the SABATON live performance with all of that, the added trimmings, I guess, is one of probably the best performances that you'll see in the world. So fingers crossed that you can bring it down to Melbourne.
Thank you. I'm hoping as well.
So Last Stand was the last album that you guys put out. It came out a little over 12 months ago. It's been really well received. It charted at number 29 on our Australian ARIA charts, but it's also charted in the top spot in Sweden and Finland as well. So it's a fantastic piece of work, but are you guys surprised with just how well it has been received?
Well, yes and no. I was very happy with the album, how it turned out. I can actually say that now because I probably told you when when we were at Summer Breeze, which was pretty much the day of the release or the day before the release, that you don't really know about an album until some time has passed, because you've been writing it, you've been producing it, you have been recording it, you've been doing all of that so intensely. So you don't really know if it's a good or a bad album until a while after. And now, at least, I'm very happy with it, looking back, and it's certainly one of the most diverse albums we've ever done, and that I really, really like. It being well received, though, well, that's a bit of a surprise, because there are some more risky songs in there, and certainly, as it is sometimes, there's always, as you do more and more and more albums, there's always the risk of people turning into the opinion of, well, their first demos was good and everything else has been shit.
Yeah.
But it is natural that a band, you like a band or the era of the band, that when you discover them, as we've seen. I mean, it has rarely, as long as you make decent or good albums as a band, and I'm not only talking about us here, but it's highly natural that some of its a band's most commercially successful albums, if you look at the earlier years of a career, that the ones where most fans discovered them on is going to be their, you know, favorite album, or at least their favorite era.
Yeah.
And we have been around long enough now to start to see tendencies of that. I mean, and I'm not saying this, you know, meaning this in a bad way at all. It's absolutely natural. I mean, my favorite era of Black Sabbath isn't Ozzy, because that's not what I grew up on. I love Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne, of course, but for me, I prefer Dio or Tony Martin singing. So, and which would be heresy in many camps, I know. But we're starting to fight with that now. Some people started listening to us back in the days, and I guess you could call one era of Sabaton would be, well, Atero Dominatus Prima Victoria, that style. Then moving on, Art of War, Carolus Rex, and I guess our way of trying to compete with that is to make sure that the album is as good as we possibly could have done it. Not half-ass it, actually really try and make it as good as possible, and make sure the songs are so good that they deserve to be on the set list for the next tour. Yeah. Obviously, we can't play all of it, but the rule for us is that the album has to be so good, in our eyes, of course, which is highly subjective, but that at least half of it could be played on the tour, you know.
Yeah.
So if we go on a main tour in Europe, half of the songs of the new album, or at least 5, then I'd say, are so good that they deserve to be played live.
Yeah.
Obviously, it might be a bit different when we come to Australia. We haven't been there in 5 years, so we'll have to take into account that we got Heroes as well, which is not new, but it has never been performed live in Australia. Yeah. So there's going to be a pretty heavy focus on, I guess, Heroes and The Last Stand on that show. Plus, of course, obviously, Cliffs of Gallipoli for sure. Which I'm looking forward to playing again.
Can't miss that
because the Europeans have gotten a bit tired of it, but I'm not.
Yeah, cool. So I do want to talk about the lineup change that you guys had in the band. So Thomas Johansson joined shortly after the album's release. I guess given the close relationship and brotherhood that the band has, how has that inclusion into the lineup been? I mean, obviously Thomas is a well-established musician in his own right. So how's he going?
Well, it's going great. I mean, we actually had our eyes on him. We talked to him already in 2012 when me and Per found ourselves without any band members at that moment.
Yeah. And
Tommy was one of the guys we talked to. Then he couldn't join us then, though. He was busy with other stuff. But at this, when Toby decided to leave, which was pretty undramatic actually, he basically said, "I love you guys, but I can't keep doing this shit." So, well, Tommy was actually the first one we talked about, and we rehearsed together because Toby still had some shows he wanted to finish the summer, and end his part of Sabaton on our festival, Sabaton Open Air.
Yep. And
of course, we thought Tommy should stay, so we actually rehearsed with 3 guitarists for a while, and only after a few days, I mean, them getting along very well, and Toby said, yeah, it was a little bit funny because before the rest of us decided that Tommy is the guy to go, Toby actually said, yeah, this is your guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always
Toby
good. Toby
actually kind of chose his successor, which is really nice, I think.
Yeah, always good when they sort of pass the torch like that, so that's good. Now, the last 2 albums, Heroes and Last Stand, have been pretty well received. We've already covered that. Both of those have been concept albums, and you guys have never been shy of doing concept albums beforehand, but does it seem like it's a winning recipe for future music?
Well, I don't know. It's like, let's say, doing Carolus Rex in 2 languages, following a timeline exactly, is a bit of a bitch. Sorry about the language. Because you're so locked down to what you have to do exactly. And it's, both musically and lyrically, the timeline is there, the stories are there. You can't switch around the stories anymore. While as if we do it like we did on, well, Heroes or The Last Stand, as you said, it's kind of concept albums, but they're not tight concepts. It's more like a theme, you know.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that says that this song has to be before that because of the, you know, the timeline as we did there. So I really like that because there is some freedom to it. And I mean, the album format, maybe it's dying, but I still like it, you know. We spend a lot of time, you know, thinking about the track list, you know. How do we start the album? You want to surprise the listener with something in the beginning. You want to take it down after a while. You want it to go up again, you know, and that is really a bitch when you're dealing with, you know, trying to write music, lyrics, and getting a track list and adapting it to, you know, a story at the same time. So even though it sounds like pretty much the same, trust me, there's a huge difference between making something like Carolus Rex or The Last Stand. And I do really enjoy telling stories, though, and I'm pretty sure we will do a proper hardcore, you know, concept album once again in the future. But right now, I'm pretty happy with the format we have on, Heroes, Last Stand, maybe The Art of War as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, The Art of War is bound after a timeline, a book rather. You know, one song corresponds to every chapter in the book on that album. On the other hand, there's nothing that says it has to be this one, because every song is only corresponding to the military technique talked about in that chapter, and then you have several options to choose from. So also that was a bit more open, but yeah, I mean, we like to tell stories, and if you tie them together in a good way, that's very nice.
Yeah, so that sort of leads into my last question for you, but you guys have obviously covered a whole lot of different battles and wars, and even as you said there, the Art of War by Sun Tzu. But is there any, I guess, famous or infamous wars or battles that you would like to cover or like to write a song about in the future?
Well, there are a lot. I mean, we probably have ideas to cover many albums, and we have ideas for themes for several albums as well. In the end, though, we always start with the music and see where that takes us. We have those ideas in mind at all times while writing the music, and then we will see. So, in a sense, the music chooses its subject for us. I mean, obviously, we've been thinking, oh, maybe we should do a song about Napoleon, and then you start looking up Napoleon, and then you realize, well, this dude is not a song, that's a concept album, or at least 3 songs, you know. So it's a bit tricky. Sometimes you want to tell you have a great story, you want to tell it, but you don't have the right song for it. Sometimes you have a great song, but you can't find a fucking subject that suits it.
Yeah. Alright, well, thank you so much for your time, Joakim. We'll look forward to seeing you guys when you come down as part of Download Festival in Melbourne next year in March, and you're also doing the side shows with Amon Amarth as well, so a couple of other cities will get the privilege to see you guys again. But thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you when you come back down here.
Well, thank you very much, man. Take care.
You too. Thank you. See you later.